This episode is sponsored by Autry's Healthcare, your trusted partner in compassionate, high-quality home care across Essex County, Union County, and surrounding areas in New Jersey. Welcome to Meals and Mind Show, where wellness begins with what you eat and how you think. With your host, Mimi.
Hi, I'm your host, Mimi, and welcome to Meals and Mind, where we dive into mindset, lifestyle, food, and the ways to connect to well health and caregiving. We do keep things bite-sized and grounded and just simple. So whether you're a caregiver, a healthcare professional, or someone who just wants to feel better on a day-to-day basis, you are in the right place. Today's guest is someone whose work and voice brings light and healing to so many. Christina Kantzavelos. She is a licensed psychotherapist, a writer, and a chronic illness advocate. She's also the founder of Begin With 10 Today, a global mental platform that centers integrative and trauma-informed care. Christina, it is such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming to the podcast. How are you today?
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. I feel honored.
Oh, thank you. Now, Christina, before we do start, right, I can't wait to dive into our conversation. We do have a short segment that it's just bite-sized segment that we always do with our guests in order for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better beyond your amazing work that you've been doing. So now we do have 5 questions, and each of 5 questions are you have about 40 to 45 seconds to answer them. Don't worry, they're very fun, they're very lighthearted, just for trying to get to know you a little bit better. How do you feel about that?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go. You ready? Okay. All right. Remember, 40 to 45 seconds to each one of them. All right?
Okay.
Good. Perfect. Now, tell me, what's one daily ritual or habit that keeps you feeling grounded?
Gratitude. And it's not even just daily, it's hourly. It's the moment
Hourly. I love
and
that.
what I mean by that is like the moment I take a breath, right, in the morning, it's like, oh, thank you. Thank you for, the chance to live another
Yeah.
day, to wake up. Even when something challenging is happening, I can tap into my gratitude. Yes, this challenging thing is happening. And, I'm standing in this beautiful place. I'm eating
Yeah.
this delicious thing. I don't know, whatever is
Whatever
happening
it
at
is,
that
yes, of
moment.
course.
I can shift. I can change the channel to gratitude. I can literally release dopamine and serotonin instead of cortisol. Like I have a chance to do that every time I practice gratitude. So
That's very amazing. And the reason I think it's very, very amazing, I think that that's something we have not done enough. And for someone who is practicing, and you said it's not a daily thing for you, it's on an hourly basis, not even hourly basis, anything that you feel that you should
as
be
needed.
grateful for, you're being grateful for. That is a very, very amazing ritual and habit to obviously to do and continue on doing.
It's free, right? It's not like it doesn't require anything
is.
fancy. It's just you. It's just you. It's not taking away from you moving through something challenging. It's adding to it. It's like, yes, and this other thing is beautiful. I have my breath right now. I can see this thing. I can feel the wind on my skin. Whatever it
Whatever
is.
it is. That's very beautiful. Now, second question. If you could share a meal with someone, past or present, who would it be and why?
It would be my brother who passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear.
it is what it is. I see him as an angel at this point on the other side, and it's like, when not for everyone, of course, but it's usually when someone has important has passed in your life, it's
Yeah,
like
of course.
you so yearn to go back in time
Back.
physically be with them. So yeah, that's like, without trying to cry now, like yeah, just to be able to catch up on life. What has he been up to on the other side? What have I been up to here? Even though I feel like he can see and he gets an idea. It would be amazing. I would give a lot for that opportunity.
First of all, I'm very sorry that you have somebody pass away that's very close to you and dear to you. Be a brother. Sincerely do apologize, and if we can always get this, that's why it's very important. The chances that we have here, especially when everybody are on earth, it just to share a little bit of love with to each other. Like one of the question is if you could share a meal, but unfortunately we can't. But
Mm.
what that can teach us is share a meal, because maybe one day when we can. I'm sincerely sorry, and I know how hard that is for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think anyone who's had someone close to them pass,
Yeah.
can feel this. And you're totally right in that we're like we don't know our expiration date. None of us
No,
does, right?
no,
Like,
no, we don't know.
and I mean, I can't tell anyone what to do, but if you have the privilege, the opportunity to have those more of those moments with the people you care about, I definitely encourage it.
Now we are going to the third questions. What is a small joy or comfort that always lifts you up on a hard day?
One, I already said it, but
I know.
like gratitude would be that
Yes, yes.
for sure. And just like finding something in nature, either getting out into nature or seeing. I'm looking over here because I have some flowers in a vase. Like I like to have live flowers
Yeah.
in my room or office as much and as often as possible, because challenging things do come up, and I can look at a flower and go, ah, that feels really good. It's so beautiful. I can touch it, I can smell it, I could look at it and automatically feel some joy.
I think that is the peace that comes from it too. It gives you a sense of calmness and a peace, and when you have that, a sense of joy, it comes out naturally. Always have a visual for a living thing, like you said, the plants are visual things. So living thing, so I have that visual to see plants is rising. So yeah, that's very beautiful.
They say God laughs in flowers, so when I look
God's
at it,
laugh. How
yeah,
really? I never heard that. Really?
yeah, I heard that a while back, and I'm like, that's so cute. And
Oh my God. I should get me some flowers. That,
yeah,
that's funny.
you have some greens.
I so you know what is so funny? The other day I went to supermarket. I bought me a basil, and I saw it and the basil, and the basil and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, let me get that. Maybe I could do a little bit of cooking with the basil. It didn't last 2 days. It dies. I don't know what happened. I'm like, how my basil die?
It's an angel on the other side, angel basil on the other side.
I'm sorry. That was heartbreaking because it didn't really last. And I could flour, I could put the water to water it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I got it. I put it like, something, and I left it. Now you know what I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna YouTube it to how I can keep my basil alive, because I'm intending to buy another one.
How to revive it and how to keep it alive. YouTube has it all.
Exactly. Now we're going to the fourth question. If your younger self could see you now, what do you think she'd be most proud of?
I think the fact that I'm simply here, that
Oh,
yeah, that I am living, I am being, right? We're not human doings, we're human beings. And that I'm just here, that I've moved through so much in my life.
yeah,
And I'm on the other side of a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges. And I think she would see that post-traumatic growth is so real, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that we can get on the other side, and we can smile when we get there, as we on the way and when we get there. And I
oh
think
my
she
God.
would be proud. She'd be proud of the fact that I'm also helping others through that tunnel as well. I think that would be a very big deal for her.
I'm pretty sure she will be proud. Yeah. And you have made her proud too. You have made her proud too.
You've made your inner child
The
proud as
child proud.
well. I can
We're still,
tell.
we're still working on that. I have come a long way. If my younger self could see me now, I think she would be most proud of the fact that I accept myself. I think she would be very proud of I accept myself, because obviously, to the challenges, to growing up in life, to the journey of growing up in life, there's things that you come across. And some of the things you can tend to blame yourself, you can tend to wonder, and you ask all type of questions. Oh, why me? Why now? Why this? Why that? And then with all of those things, you can think that if those things can happen to me, why should I accept myself? Like you said, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Part of this journey is being alive, and part of alive is things happen, right? So
Mhm.
no matter what happened to you, accept yourself, accept you being a human being, accept um you being like, hey, there's a challenge, there's also an answer to every problems, every challenges in life.
There's there's so much freedom in accepting ourselves, right? And
Yeah.
there's this idea we so yearn for of wanting to gain that acceptance from everyone outside of
Everyone
ourselves
else,
first, and then
yes.
somehow it's going to come to us. And it's the other way around. It comes from us.
It is. It
You
is.
see it
Yeah.
reflected in others because at that point you go, they don't have a choice. I've already accepted myself. So,
Exactly.
and I think,
Exactly.
it's like, and you mentioned something else that resonates so deeply aside from the accepting ourselves piece, which is, my younger self would see that everything happened for me and not to me. There was this idea that it was all happening to me. I was being, attacked. I was the victim. And in fact, it was
Yes.
happening for me to become the person I am today. And I'm so grateful.
That's very good. That's very good. Now we are come. I think we are going. Now we are come to the fifth question and the final questions. What's one unexpected teacher that taught you a big lesson in a surprising way?
I don't know if it's unexpected, but I think, I look at my parents and
Yeah.
they're my first and biggest and sometimes unexpected teachers. And I look at myself too as being my own teacher, which is unexpected. I didn't think I would become my own teacher, but that has happened. And there have just been, it's interesting. Every person has been a teacher in my life. If I really think about it in a way from a different perspective, even strangers I connect briefly with, even our conversation before we started, there was teaching moments. So
Yeah.
I see all opportunities as teaching moments.
You said something that's very, 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 very nice. I mean, not very to hear, just like yours. You being a teacher for your own selves. The reason that I really love it is just some of the times that we do have to be a teacher of ourselves, because we have to look at that, especially I'm talking about the mistake that we do. We have to learn and use that as a teachable moment, and not to repeat whatever that we did or whatever caused us problems, whatever caused us pain. So being a teacher for your own self is very important. And so basically at that point, you'll be able to step away and analyze things, and analyze whatever the situation is. It's just a situation, you analyze it. And that's what teachers do. Hey, they see a situation, they analyze it, they take the good and the bad. But when you're able to have the ability to do that, and then would teach yourself how to do better for the exam, is beautiful. So yeah, being a teacher for yourself, that's I never really talk about it. I'm sorry to talk. Yeah, but it's beautiful. I really love it. So
Thank you. I mean, and even like if you're as an activity, if you're, for example, just an example, you're journaling, right? And then you,
yeah,
you read the journal and you're like, wow, like
yeah.
it just came out of me, right? And you see that. It's like it's this relationship you form with yourself. You are simultaneously both the teacher and the student of your own
And
life.
thank you so much for participating in our segment. I really enjoy all our conversation. It's very pleasure to to get to know you and in beyond your amazing work that you have done. So thank you for participating in our segment. Now let's dive into our conversation. To start, I'd love to hear about the beginning of your work. Can you share the heart behind Begin Within today? What inspired you to create that platform?
It's kind of a long story, so I'll try to
Yeah.
make it as concise as possible with saying that I was very sick with chronic illness. In order for me to heal, I had to do some major, major, major work physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And on that path with creating Begin Within, like I really had to start with myself. It's again that teaching that teacher within, but but really start within myself. And I wholeheartedly believe that's where we all need to start in order to heal ourselves. I basically became the practitioner I wish I had when I was really sick, because someone who specializes in chronic illness it's very hard to find. It's easier, a little bit easier now, which I'm so grateful to see. But back
Yeah.
when I was ill, not so much. So finding a therapist when I'm going through something that's already quite traumatic, whilst dealing and moving through what traumatized me in the first place, what made me sick in the first place, on an emotional, psychological, spiritual level, like that was challenging to find someone to work with. I mean, I ended up having to find someone all the way in England, actually, because I guess I couldn't really find anyone who was licensed in the state I was in, and so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, let's do this. Like I'm seeing that someone needs to step into this role, and if I can move myself through this, then it just makes sense that I would guide others in doing the same, right? And remembering that they are their own healers, and they can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And in the midst of that, I also created the Begin Within journal, which is a mind, body, spirit bullet journal.
Yeah.
A way of tracking your day-to-day symptoms and life in order to connect dots in different places in your health. And I created that because I just couldn't find something similar. I was having doctors asking me, can you write down what you're eating every day? Can you write down, what your mental health was like? What was your pain level like? What were your symptoms like? And I was just jotting it into a notebook. So I actually needed to create something more convenient, even just for myself. And then that's where that came from. That's essentially how it evolved into what it is today.
Now, you also mentioned you have walked your own health journey. I know that you didn't mention what all the journeys are. We definitely multiple different chronic condition. How's that living through those experience? I know now shape you, because like you mentioned before, when you were dealing with those situations, in a sense, with those conditions, you couldn't find the necessary help or even closer help to you. Now, how does that shape you going through that experience? How does that shape you, how you approach other people healing with those conditions as a psychotherapist?
I get to kind of see their response, their reaction to me, and often it's like relief that they don't have to provide me with subtitles for what
I see.
they're going through, because they get to work with a professional who literally understands or has knowledge and like true understanding of what they're moving through on a biopsychosocial level, like everything holistically, even within dynamics of their work and their family and their relationships, because chronic illness infiltrates all areas of your life.
Of course.
It impacts all areas of your life. So even like I said, even if I don't have the exact diagnosis or the exact symptom, I'm pretty aware because I'm constantly doing research and taking courses and trying to understand, right? What is the available research? What are the available treatments? What are the available modalities? So I can really truly relate with the folks I have the privilege of working with, and I love it. I love what I get to do, because I get to see like true miracles every single day, whether they're small, tiny, or bigger. Like it's all on the spectrum of miracles, and yeah, it's beautiful.
But I always say experience is the best teacher. By having this kind of experience, like you mentioned, it doesn't really have to be the same type of disease, but chronic condition, any type of illness that has any pain condition to it is kind of relatable, even we feel it different way, right? In a sense, because some people face or talk about pain or, in a different ways. We might be having the same type of issues, the same type of chronic, but we experience it in different ways. It's based on how you feel about it. You are able to put yourself in their shoes in a sense. And that's one thing that is we needed in healthcare in a sense. Healthcare is not obviously healthcare is about healing, but it's about connecting to the people that you are serving. And when we start seeing, when we start practicing healthcare that way, we would see a difference and help people being treated and cured instead of practices of healthcare as everybody are a case or everybody are, it's obviously healthcare has a big company of money into it. So we put that at the front end when we're serving our people, and that needs to be stopped. And for you to do this work first, you do all the work. You channel what you have experienced to help people. You do you look for the resources. You do your work. You do your research. You look for resources on how to help those people, and that's what we need. And healthcare professional, that's what we need in order to help the people that we serve. So that's a very big kudos to. I really love the way that you speak, especially when it comes to healthcare. That's a very big thing for me. I really appreciate that component part of the way you put yourself into your work.
We can only meet someone as far as we've met ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially as like a healer practitioner of any kind. I feel like it's our due diligence. It's really an ethical matter that we do work on ourselves. We do get to know ourselves in all our parts, so we can meet the person we are working with. And I'm not going to know everything. Of course, I haven't had all experiences. It's not possible. However, I can attempt my best to understand and be as compassionate as possible, and really trust and believe the person I'm working with. Because so often in healthcare, a person, someone comes to a practitioner and the practitioner doesn't understand, therefore doesn't believe them, or points in odd directions. Perhaps their ego gets in the way, and that's unfortunate. I mean, I've had that experience as a patient myself, so I know what that feels like, and I know what the opposite feels like. Someone who does want to believe me, who does desire to walk me, through the tunnel to the other side. And it's a big difference. And if you are a patient of any kind listening or watching this, know that you get to choose your providers. You are paying them, not the other way around. So if someone does not feel good for your nervous system, it's on to the next one.
And also, too, I want to relay a message to the healthcare providers. So, please do keep your whatever bias that you have, keep it out of the door. When you step inside of the patient's room, whether they come to you, whether in the hospital, whatever bias that you have, whatever belief system that you have, keep it at bay, because it doesn't help the person in front of you. It doesn't help yourself, because you won't be able to provide the best care that you need to provide. It's not fair to the person to you are serving either. That's a message for the healthcare professional. Please do.
Thank you for that. It's so important. It's so important. Yeah.
Now, a big part of your practice includes trauma-informed and somatic therapies. Some of our listeners may not be familiar with those terms. Can you break down what they involve and what they're so powerful for people recovering from chronic illness and medical trauma?
We've all experienced pretty much some form of trauma or something traumatic in our life. And it could be, I say there's little t traumas, there's big T traumas. There's the ACE test developed by Kaiser. I believe it was in the 90s. It's 10 questions. And what they found with these 10 questions, assessing a child's upbringing, is that the higher the number, the more yeses in this questionnaire, the higher the association with mental and or physical illness, just chronic illness in general. So this is more so assessing like the big T traumas. I mean, anything from did an adult hit, beat, punch, kick you growing up, put you down? Did you have adequate food, clothing to wear? Did someone in your household have mental illness? So these are just some examples of the 10 questions. And there's this association with then chronic illness, and that has to do with the fact that we go into, if there's chronic stress, we go into a chronic stress response after some time. So we know fight or flight, but there's a fawning response, there's a freeze response. And if you do not have the necessary tools and resources, if you are not able to co-regulate with the figures you had in the house, could be your parents, it could be grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever it was, if you didn't have that safety of a place to process and release, the likelihood of you and having that trauma, keeping that within you, is going to be a bit higher because you just didn't have the tools and the resources. They didn't likely have the tools and the
Obviously,
resources.
yeah.
So it's on, and then hence, we have intergenerational trauma where that
So
just
yes,
continues.
passing along.
Yeah. And that has that has so many layers in it of itself. So if you've been in this somewhat chronic stress response, again, I see freeze response a lot. The fawning response is more like people pleasing, kind of being people see it as like being the martyr, like always putting someone else in front of you or something else in front of you. Like these types of responses, they helped you survive, but they begin to impact your adult life. And if we as practitioners do not understand a trauma response and how it impacts us on a biophysical level, we are going to be challenged. And I mean that in the sense of like, if you have when we have a stressful situation come up, or if we're chronically stressed, that's a lot of cortisol running at all times, right? And we know what cortisol does. It wrecks our chronically, it wrecks our immune system and our autonomic nervous system and so much more. That is actually what leads to like dis-ease over time. Stress, chronic stress, not good for anyone's mind, body, or spirit. And so if we do not address that as practitioners, if we just choose to ignore that or not get the necessary training in understanding how trauma impacts all areas of our life, we're in a way just not addressing the root cause. We're putting a Band-Aid over something until that thing happens. It just keeps coming up, right? What we don't feel to heal will just come up again, show up in other ways. So as someone who, I know in grad school, I was not taught how to become trauma informed as a therapist, which is shocking to so many people. I had to, go get trainings post grad to learn more about that. Really, I had to go through my own trauma healing to understand what that looks and feels like, and then get trained as a practitioner, and to understand, how much our body holds on to emotions. When we do not feel them, they get trapped, right? Our body begins saying no. The body keeps there's these books like The Body Keeps the Score. I mean, these things really begin to impact us in challenging ways if we do not, move through the fire, if you will, with them. So I say that, we can't quite talk ourselves out of trauma. We have to feel our way out of trauma. That's that somatic piece. There's, whether it's EMDR or brain spotting or constructed awareness. These are some
stuff. Yeah.
EFT tapping. There's a motion code if you end up working with a coach. There are so many different ways to do this, thankfully. But I recommend that all practitioners of any kind take, trauma-informed courses or workshops, or learn about these different modalities to become more informed on how this impacts us.
Have you heard, or have you ever Reiki? Have you tried that, or have you heard of it, or have you? Have any
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
with that? You have?
Oh gosh, yeah, since I was pretty young. So right, Reiki. Or no, do you want to explain? Do you want to explain it
No,
or?
no, no. Go ahead. Oh, please feel
No, I
free.
mean, it's just I'm not a Reiki practitioner, but
Yeah.
I've done many Reiki sessions in the past,
Oh, nice.
and I've done both like quote unquote hands-on and distant Reiki, and there's something called sound Reiki. There's
There's
very
difference, right?
types, but the idea is to find balance and attunement and harmony in the body by balancing the seven chakras.
I have tried Reiki about, I would say, 4 years ago. And that was a friend of mine. She was telling me about it. I never heard of it. And she said, there's something called Reiki. I think you should try it. I don't know. I'm not really sure. She's like, you're gonna love it. I'm like, I don't know what to love because I don't know what it is. We drove and we went to it. Again, that is my first time hearing about it, experience it. And then the session is about an hour. And she was a very, very nice practitioner, very talented practitioner. She take her work very seriously too. At the end of the session, I end up crying. Like you mentioned, we cannot talk away our trauma because it really lies into your body. And some of the time you kind of experience some back pain, some neck pain, and you think that is something. And it could be stress related. And we can think, oh, okay, I'm just gonna take some sort of pills and that should feel better. But maybe there's something underlying it that we need to take a deeper look into it. I really appreciate the fact that some of the time our trauma can not we have to there's ways that we have to deal with it, not only through speech.
And I also with Reiki had a similar experience where, some images, some memories came up that,
Yes.
and she wasn't even like, I remember she wasn't
I know
physically,
she was
and I was just crying and crying. And you hear this too with massage and during massages, like
yeah.
body workers who will be working on. So I have some friends who are body workers. Like I was working on this person, and I mean, there were just tears dripping on the floor. There was an area of their body where that was stored, and you know, I also specialize, not just chronic illness, but chronic pain.
Yeah.
And we forget that pain actually truly starts in the brain. We're like, it's all in your head. It's like actually kind of it is. It's in the brain, but it's also connected to our body. So one does not go without the other. It's our bodies are pretty brilliant. They'll just store things until we are ready to feel it, to heal it. And that's what happened with you. So these modalities are amazing. If you find the right fit and the right practitioner, they can make such a big difference in your life.
For anyone listening who may feel stuck and overwhelmed, and it can be very overwhelmed, especially when you're dealing with any type of chronic condition, any type of chronic illness, or disconnected from their body right now. What's one small compassionate step they can take moving forward, towards healing? I know that one of the things that you mentioned too, I love the fact that because I was really taking a look at the platform, and you have a journal, and I know one of the things that you mentioned is journaling about your chronic condition really would be very helpful. So, what one other step they can take moving forward towards healing?
Reminding yourself that I am the medicine. I can heal. I can do, like, just
Yeah.
just speaking kind words to yourself can be so powerful as one step towards healing. I mean, even just listening to this conversation, you are doing something kind for yourself. I hope right now that this feels good to your nervous system. But finding the people, the places, the things that bring peace to your life and choosing them over and over and over again is big. Yeah.
Um, and I have heard this very often. Sometimes it's not the illness that kills us faster. That it just the way we think about the illness, the way we think our mindsets about the illness, that definitely will kill us faster than the actual illness. There's only two ways you can think of any situation: good or bad, positive or negative. There's only two ways, but it's always good, and it would serve you better to be on the brighter side, the positive side, um, the good side. That doesn't really take away what you're feeling. That doesn't take away the illness, but it's just a question of the mindset. They always said, hey, if you're gonna go at it, just go at it strong. Pull up all your strength up
Mm.
to go at it. So be positive about it. Be
Yeah.
not Yeah, and that can be challenging. I'm pretty sure experiencing that, how challenging that can be, especially when you are in pain. When you go to the doctor, all they talk about it, all they talk about how this can affect you, how that's gonna affect you, how pain gonna affect you, how what you need to take, how what you need to do, and all of they keep taking, if you don't do that, say something happen. It will be challenging to when you hearing all those message. So how do you go through all that message and find that your own voice that within of yourself? How would you cut through all that message in a sense?
I think you literally change the channel literally and figuratively, right? With the right practitioners and everything until it feels like, yes, this resonates. This is my voice. If you're with a practitioner who's
Ex-
not very hopeful, like I was saying earlier, who doesn't feel like this does not feel good for me, then move on to someone who does. There's the Dr. Joe Dispenza, is it the placebo effect, I think is the book. And you were talking about the power. It's not so much the illness, right? It's how we
How we
relate.
perceive, yeah, how we
Yeah.
perceive the illness, and that's gonna how we relate to it and how we perceive to it. I mean, some of the disease, some of the illness is very, death sentence in the sense. Not everything should be a death sentence.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there's going to be certain things, right, where there's not much
that
that can
can be
be
done.
done. Exactly. But in the cases where there is, and there have been, cases of remission and even radical remission, it's so important to remember the mindset, because even in the book, I know he cites this one case of a man who was given like a very short span of time because of cancer to live, like terminal. I think it was 1 month, and then he died within the month. And when they went in with the autopsy, they found out they actually got the patient wrong. It was a
Oh
different
my God!
patient.
Wow.
So that's how strong the mind is. And then you hear stories on the opposite end. And there's a really good documentary. It's on Amazon, called the Heal documentary. And it gives examples of, various cases of remission, and that healing is possible. And it's important to listen and to hear and see those stories, to tell your brain, to tell your nervous system that if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. I mean, I thought I was going to die from my illness. I thought it was just, or I was going to be stuck on a couch in a bed for the rest of my life. I didn't think I was going to get out of it. And I did. And of course, I can't, use myself as the only example out there. I'm just saying, like, I can share my personal experience with that, and say that, healing is possible.
Well, that's a very good thing that you did, and you here sharing your stories and sharing the possibility of it all, and going through that. You are speaking to experience. I really appreciate your point of view on how the mindset can change and can heal you. And that's what we need to understand. First thing I think, coming out from what you said is just change the mindset, because the mindset can heal you. Your body you can heal yourself in a sense. And also too, what's very important that you have mentioned too is the practitioner. It doesn't feel right. You just have to move on for the one, because at the end of the day, you would want somebody that you can connect with, that understand you, that take you seriously, that see you is very
See,
important. Yeah, see you is really important. You're just not a case. You're just not just a patient. It just sees you. By seeing you, that person would take the time to ask you questions, to get to know you. And also to some of the time that would give you, if you're seeing a practitioner only giving you things that store bought, maybe that's not a very good practitioner in a sense, because there's other ways to be healed. There's other ways to heal. So it's very important to ask yourself that question. Is that person that I'm seeing sees me?
Yeah. Yeah. Sees me, asks me, asks questions about
Questions?
your lifestyle. What is your stress level? Like, what is your
Exactly.
relationship with your partner or your family like? What is your, what's your work like? It was so when I finally had a practitioner like that, I was like, wait, what? That could have something to do with my health? I never thought those,
None
because
of
right
yeah.
we've been conditioned to think these two things are very separate, the physical and the mental health. And in fact, they're so infused and strong. The mind body connection is fierce, and we need
Yes.
to we need to remember that. And if your practitioner is not using that language and it's not resonating with you,
Yeah.
find one who is, because there's definitely one out there who desires to care about you.
Okay. Thank you, Christina, for being a part of our podcast. I really appreciate you and I really appreciate our conversation. Now, please tell our listeners how they can see you and follow you, because I think that you are doing very wonderful work, especially, your words are healing. Definitely, they would heal. Yeah, they really have a sense of in healing. And I think that they would definitely benefit someone who is in that position right now. So please tell us, the listeners, what other way they can reach out to you, they can see you, they can talk to you. I think they would definitely benefit from it.
Thank you so much again for having me on, and thank you to all who are watching and
Mhm.
listening right now. You can find me at www.beginwithintoday.com, or just at Begin Within Today on pretty much all social media.
Listen, if you go to the website, there's a page that have resources. I took a look at those resources. Trust me, you would find an answer to your question there. You would. There's a lot of resources. I was so amazed. I'm like, I'm just like, I was like a kid in the candy shop. Like, oh, let me see what is that. Oh, let me click on that. What is that? Let me click on that. What is that? Let me click on it. And you have put. I would say you really put your heart into it, because um some of the things that there, people may not be able to see it if you didn't put it there. So please go to the websites, and I think the first thing you have to go to is just go look at the resources and learn, and we'll learn. And second thing is get the journal. Get the journal. I look at it, and all of the reviews of people are saying about the journal that had helped them. So I think I thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing
And
this
I,
with
I
me
I so
too.
appreciate you saying something about the resource, like those resources, like that's such a, I mean, those are just resources I've collected since I've, gotten sick and needed help. And also it's been a community effort. A lot of times, clients, patients are sending me new ones. So if you sign up for the newsletter, I'm constantly
Yes,
sending out
yeah,
new
yeah.
resources that come up. So thank you so much. Really.
Like I said, I was like, okay, a candy shop, like, oh, let me see what is that. And I read through them, and you added some podcasts to it. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm listening to them, some of them. No, it's very good. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
Thank you, Christina, and have a very, very blessed day. Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you. Bye.
This episode is sponsored by Autry's Healthcare, your trusted partner in compassionate, high-quality home care. From skilled nursing and pediatric care to 24/7 live-in assistance and essential care services, Autry's is here to support your health journey every step of the way. Learn more at autry'shealthcare.com or call 1-866-428-8747 to book a quick consultation with our licensed nurse. Because at Autry's, we believe care should feel like family.